Hello and welcome to Krakow. About 10 kilometers from center of the action is here. Slalom time, second World Cup, ICF World Cup of the 2018 season. So the athletes have been battling it out this morning for the semi-finals, and now it's the top 10 going in the C1 women and then a bit later in the K1 men. And we're going to talk you through all of the action. Alan Burgess, you had a spectacular, almost final performance yesterday. And how's things out there?
Yeah, hi Matt, great to be here again. Really excited for this one. I think seen some really tight racing already this morning, and this final is just going to heat up.
We've got some Brits in it as well, so that's good to see. There's overhead pictures of the actual channel, so you can see it's an artificial channel. First put down 2003, we'll go into that later, but the temperature 15, so it's going up dramatically from this morning. There's a bit of a breeze. If we're looking at the flags, they're moving quite a lot. Look at the poles, they're hardly moving though. Yeah,
it's definitely not the warmest day, not perfect conditions for racing, but hopefully the heat on the water is going to make up for that. Definitely we saw the step up between semis and finals yesterday, particularly the C1 men, less than a second separating the top six. It was really tight racing. I think we're going to see more of the same.
Well, that's what we're here for. So we're going to see the women's last to go is going to be Kimberly Woods. So that's good for the Brits to show that she can perform at this level. Here's the standings after the first World Cup. So this is the order they finished. It's going to be interesting later in the season. There were 5 World Cups altogether. Last one had double points, and you can see quite clearly it's a staggered system. So the more events you go to, the more chances you have of performing. Don't worry about those flags. Here's the start list anyway, so some massive experience and a couple of newcomers, starting with Sonia Stanovska from Slovakia, Nieuwe Villeruble, multiple medals. The 2 foxes are going to be interesting to see, Anna Santilla, and the rest have obviously been around quite some time. Let's not forget Vicky Wolfhart, who's the European champion.
Definitely, yeah, and it's quite a young start list, but it's almost like the likes of Jessica Fox, Mario Frank and Kimberly Woods. They're like the veterans of this C1 women's class, and all still in their early 20s, so it's quite interesting that, and looks like we're just getting underway now.
So see how Sonia goes. We have seen a lot of challenges in the first three gates for every class really.
Definitely, it's a little bit awkward off the start. You've got to get out into the flow and then come back on yourself to be able to open up this 1-2-3 move. Looks like she's gone for the spin on gate 2. I think later down the order we're going to see some of the girls taking that on forwards, I think. But just doing a nice, safe, solid job so far here, Sona.
I think that's what we saw, isn't it? A lot of athletes really messed up their whole run in the first 10 seconds.
Definitely, it's easily done. We saw a lot in the men's event as well, and already she's getting into some difficulty here. We did see some of that going on this morning. This event picked up a 2-second penalty there as well, just making her problems a little bit worse. It's a difficult move, that 6-7. You can see a lot of time changing hands there today. Same with this move as well, 9 and 10. This is these are the real race winners.
The 2 major moves of the day, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah. Well, she's done that very well. It's gone for, we call it the peel out around gate 10, so it's almost like doing an extra upstream gate. Wonder if we'll see some of the girls take on the spin, which is a slightly quicker option, but is a lot harder, so they're going to weigh up that risk and reward.
So these athletes have been on this exact course about an hour and a half ago, so they know the field and they've had a chance to analyse the video.
Another move there as well. She's made that look really easy. We saw a lot of trouble there yesterday. And I think a lot of the athletes racing today, the C1 women and the men's kite, learnt a lot from the C1 men and kayak women racing yesterday, and are making lighter work of that. And here again, there's another offset that's tricky, and it's plus 6 seconds added to her time now with that 3rd penalty, so she is going to struggle to contend. And there, another one there. It's just getting away from her a little bit now. Plus 8. But she sprints to the finish.
18 years old, made the final. You can only be happy with that.
She seems happy to be here still.
Tyler, you're Tyler Smith. Welcome back in again. 19 years old for you, youth. So it must be great to perform at this in this arena.
For sure, and for Sonia, it's great to have such good practice heading into the Junior World Championships later this summer in Italy. So I'm sure she's excited to keep competing this summer.
Well, we've just seen the Spanish looking on, and that's because we have good Spanish performances this morning. For quite a while they were really leading the ball. It's going to be Miriam Lascano who is next to go off.
3 Spanish girls in this final. I think that's probably a first for these girls. Nuria Villaruba not really been her usual self so far this season. Still waiting to see her get onto the podium. She's normally right up there. And Clara there up in second place after the first one. She's had some really good runs so far, but this season, like through the rounds, the heat semi-finals, but yet to really drop it down in the final and get herself on the podium. It's Miriam's turn to show what she can do.
So poor Nuria has sort of helped, encouraged all these young girls to come along, and now they are.
With her Olympic selection probably for these girls as well next year or the year after going into Tokyo, she's give herself more competition. Another athlete we see struggle already on the first split. Touch on gate 2, and she went for the spin again. I do think some of these more experienced girls, the likes of Kimberly Woods, Jessica Fox, Vicky, Claire Jacquet, they're probably going to be taking that one forwards. This one as well, there's another option there. Oh, she's gone for the spin, but it's not quite worked out for her. She's eddied out too early and taken a touch on it as well. So,
Tyler, you were telling me earlier there's contrasting currents there, so that's why it's so difficult.
Yeah, you saw her. She came in above 7 and was pushed back upstream, not able to get through the middle of the gate.
Is that a move you've been able to do in practice?
I think it's not something many people would really be practicing. There's a lot of focus on the double upstreams in that section, and we kind of forget to practice things like that. That's a little weird.
The course overall, like from top to bottom, it is quite short. So I think the course designers have tried to add the challenge as best they can to make it long enough. We saw the men's kayak down below 80 seconds for a full run. So it's those challenges like the spins and eddies, and it looks like she's got into more trouble there, yet picking up another 2-second penalty and doing an extra spin that I don't think that would have been in her A plan. Climbing there, taking the top wave in order to set this move up. And it's a piece of water here. It changes quite a lot there between 18 and 19. You've really got to be on your toes. If the wave goes, it's just really fast, and this offset catches up with you really quick.
Can you anticipate that? 5 meters out, or you're on it and have to do?
It's really difficult. It's something. If you watch the racing and you've seen people make the mistakes there, and you know it's because of the water change, and then maybe it goes into the plan that you look ahead and you react to what you see, but it can be really difficult to do that in the moment. Canoe slalom it's just hard.
Okay.
So to go in with a loose plan and have to really think about what you're doing it's not always that easy. You kind of want to be as automatic and just kind of running in computer mode as possible.
You are the best in the world. Anyway, it's Noemi Fox who is going to be on the stage in a couple of seconds. So as mentioned before, Naomi spent a lot of this weekend doing academic studies, because a lot of you athletes are also studying at the same time. So it's a case of balancing your life. Was Lawrence just missing out today, being reflexive?
Yeah, 2 really hard days for Roz. She was 11th yesterday in the K1 women's, but still some great paddling.
So let's see how Noemi can go today.
Still very young and into a second final of 2 races. Saw her last week out in Liptovsky, and pretty good performance there, particularly in the semi-final. And her sister Jess just taking the field apart with her final run. Let's see if that's inspired her on and she can try and beat big sister Jess today.
Difficult challenge. She's got one of the best coaches in the world, one of the best sisters in the world.
Yeah.
So how can she channel that? She's doing really well there.
She started well. She was the first girl we've seen go forwards on gate 2, but definitely not the quickest we've seen through there, 7 and 8. Again, it's another option we've seen in the spin, but I think some of the more experienced girls will take that on forwards. She's 2.5 seconds up, but that split came up before the 2-second penalty has gone on that she just picked up on gate 9, so half a second up. So it's a solid start. We are yet to see someone really deliver a run that's going to be on the podium yet. So let's see what she can do on the bottom half.
Just compare the 2 sisters. Do they have similar techniques?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's because they look quite similar and they paddle the same boat as well. It's easy to think, and it looks like she's picked up a 50-second penalty there actually. I don't think she got her whole head inside that gate 16, and maybe if it was tight, there could be a review on that and potentially a protest, but it didn't look good, and another 2-second penalty there.
But to make 2 finals,
It's got away from her, but 2 finals from 2. It's a good start to the season for Noemi. And she would have gone way into the lead as well.
I think it's quite common. You'll see the sisters switching in the same positions, having their mom as their coach. They generally have the same plan down the course and can look quite similar.
See the difficulty she got into there at 9 just came from hitting the blocks. Let's have another look at this. Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? Can't really see where her head is from that angle, but you need your whole head and part of your boat to pass through the gate line. It doesn't look like she's quite managed that.
This is what the obstacles are. With the overhead footage, you can see exactly what the challenges are. 12 meters wide. Depth, does it vary? How does
it varies in places where the blocks are. That you can see the green blocks. There's a layer of concrete that goes along the bottom, so it's a little bit shallower in those sections. I've seen a few people catch their paddles already. We saw Matis Palachek break his paddle in the semi-final. One of the local favourites, and he broke his paddle at gate 7, and that was his run over. Yeah, generally it's pretty deep enough for Canoe Slalom anyway.
Deep enough. Anna Tatilla next to go.
She's having a really good season so far. 2 finals last week in a C1 and a K1. Final again here in a C1. Going for the spin option again. She did that really well. I don't think that cost her too much time choosing the spin there. It's often can be the case, if you can take an easy option but do it with a lot of confidence, then sometimes you don't lose that much time. See what she chooses here. Is she going to go straight? It looks like she's trying it. And it looks like she's just had to go for that B-plan spin, but it's not bad. That's the best we've seen that done so far.
So expecting to see significantly up.
I think she's going to be up on the split, yeah.
5.45 seconds.
So she's flying much faster than we've seen so far, and clean as well.
No.
Sorry, Anna. Commentator's curse there.
Still well up on the split though with 1 penalty. It's not a big deal for Anna heading down to the bottom of the course.
But we've only had 3 athletes gone, so 7 to go.
Into this upright. I've not seen many penalties on here. I thought there would be some more. It's quite a flat section above it. I thought that we'd see people, really attacking in and then struggling to find their composure again for that breakout. But no such troubles for Anna, who's made up that 2 seconds. She's still 5 seconds ahead into this crunch move. Can easily get away from you, but she's made light work of that as well. Really good use of switching her hands there on the paddle to stay on the onside. That's good around the last upright. We did see people have trouble getting the last gate. A little bit tight, but she snuck inside.
Well, powering away over, goes first place. However, there's still 6 of the world's top athletes to go.
I think we saw 1 or 2 of the girls just drop under 100 seconds in the semi-final, but no one managed it clean. So that 101 would have been competitive, I think, this morning. So that's the first. It's definitely a marker for sure. Something for the rest of the girls to chase. She could see herself up there. An early prediction, I'd probably put her in the top 5 with that already.
Kimberly went under with 101, so it's a good time.
So yeah, it's very good. So it's matched the what won the semi-final. But we did see Jess had a +6 on her run and still made the final. She was sub 100, and Nuria as well, I think, was below 100. Here she is.
Yeah. So 2 or 3 years ago, she was the favourite probably for every race.
Yeah, she was absolutely flying, and she seems to have just lost a little bit of that form, but the skill is definitely there. She's still very young, and she's got Home World Championships next year in Sao. There's a World Cup final this year in Sao, so she's going to be a strong contender, I think.
And a fully qualified teacher as well, so she's got lots of skill sets.
Definitely, yeah. As you said here as well, with Noemi continuing her studies this weekend, it's important. A canoe slalom career can't last forever, especially with injuries and things like that. So yeah, it's good these people are taking care of.
Pretty much all of these athletes are studying at the same time.
It's a solid start from Nuria. She did choose to spin on gate 2, but she delivered it well. I don't think she lost too much time. And I thought she was going to go for the forwards then. She was in a good position for it, but it did mean she was in a very good position for the spin. So
that was a half a second decision.
Yeah, she's up on the split, and Anna was good on the top as well. So we see her for Nuria is on pace to go sub 100 seconds yet again. And that's very good. In and out on one stroke, into the flow really well. Seen some people trying to sneak that exit a little bit too much, and it looks like people that go just that little bit further hit the flow early.
She should still be up in that split, I expect.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that spin was in her A plan either. A lot of penalties we saw this morning on that last at right as well. She's done well to stay clean there.
So time to go for is just over 100.
I think it might be just over. 101 again. It's just got away from her there on that last section. She was flying, but yeah, you can see how with these long offsets, 4 or 5 gate sequences in a row, can easily slip away, and you end up doing those extra spins, and they're quite costly compared to somebody who flies through that section all direct. But 101, it's going to be competitive.
So this is going to be interesting to see.
See some young slalom fans there chasing each other around.
There's lots of little ones, aren't we? We've just seen chasing down the Spaniards. We've seen Marion Schuller's young daughter sprinting around as well.
Smiles from the crowd, Czech fans waiting for their athletes to come down in the next.
It's starting to be busy now. People have sort of decided to come and had a brunch and then come over and see what's going on. Lots of bicycles, because it's about 10 kilometers outside of town. So you don't stumble on it automatically. You need to want to come here to come here. And we were in Krakow last night. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it?
It's such a nice city. Yeah, I've not really spent any time here before until this trip, and our team was staying right in the centre of town as well. And I think it's very quickly become potentially my favourite European city now. It's really nice, and food's been awesome and incredibly cheap as well still.
So come to Krakow. That's the message.
So what do we expect an ideal run to look like down the course?
I think we're yet to see someone really take on the hard options, and go direct in places. So I'd like to see one of the girls go direct on gate 2 and on gate 7. It looks like the peel out is going to be the option in gate 10. And then direct through this last sequence as well, all through 18, 19, 20.
Yeah. How was your race today?
Well, the final run was quite hard, and I did some mistakes, but I'm happy to manage it, and I'm happy to be back on the final, and was good. I did a small mistake at the top at gate 7, and then here at the bottom at the last upstream, but well.
And what was the most challenging part for you?
I don't know, it was a tricky course, but maybe the last exit from 17 was quite hard for me to decide the best option, but well, it's a nice course.
Okay, thank you.
So it doesn't get much better than live TV. She just had to jump out of her boat, was dragged by the neck to the winning spot. She had the fastest time so far, and the great interview. So it's good actually to hear from you, the athletes, how you see the course.
Yeah, definitely. It's a difficult place to paddle because of the way the waves. Some of these waves move around a little bit. There's a lot of fluctuation, and canoe slalom, we do expect the water to move a little bit, but here especially so it's difficult to deal with. But here she's got to be the favourite. I think every time she gets in the boat, she's the favourite to win. Jessica Fox, winner last weekend, winner yesterday in the women's kayak. She took 2 gold medals last weekend. Looks like she's hungry for a second this weekend as well. Great start. She chose the spin on 2. A lot of girls are choosing that. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe that is the best option for them.
I think you mentioned before that she took quite a few penalties in the semi-final, so she knows what needs to be done probably.
Definitely, yeah. She had +6, but like Jess, we generally don't see the best of her until the final. She tends to hold a little bit back, and we see her go up a gear, and maybe there's another gear in there as well. We had Robbie in the commentary last week. He was saying that yeah, she's still got another gear yet to go, and she won by 7 seconds. So
Well, that makes it interesting.
yeah, penalty already. So I mean, she won by 7 seconds last week. Can she? And look at that on the back blade. There you go. I think she's made up that 2 seconds already in one move. Really nice move around there. You don't see many of the men taking on options like that. It's very high risk. She's nailed it, and very there to be on her. Gear change, sprints to the finish. She's still going to be sub 100. 96.
Wow.
With +4 on the time, so at 92, she has gone so much faster than any of the girls have gone this morning. Will those 4 seconds in penalties be costly? We're yet to see. There's definitely girls yet to come that are capable of going under 96. Mallory Franklin there, you can see on the bank watching, unfortunately missing out this one. Reigning world champion, and
I think that was a major surprise from the semis, that Mallory didn't quite put it together today.
definitely, yeah. And I spoke to her in our team area after the race, and she said actually it's not a surprise to her. She doesn't really like this course, so she's been here 3 or 4 times and never made the final. And you know, she's a girl who is used to making pretty much every final she races at. So yeah, maybe some demons to overcome on Krakow for her. But yeah, definitely an upset.
There's the insider knowledge of a good mate and a teammate as well. Keeps us all.
Yeah, I'm in a coaching group with those girls, Mallory and Kim. They definitely keep me on my toes. Very, very talented athletes, both of them.
And we got Kimberly Woods yet to come. So who is going down now? It's only the European champion.
Victoria Wolfhart, and we've seen her medal here before on Krakow, I think in the women's kayak actually, Europeans a few years back. There you can see Jess already posing for photos of some young fans.
I think that sums her up completely.
Yeah, always
The
takes the
ultimate
time.
diplomat.
Always takes the time to interact with younger paddlers, and it's great to see. She's a really good ambassador for the sport.
As you all are. Anyway, let's see how Vicky can come through.
Little bit patient and a bit of waiting in this first section for her, but she's clean and it's solid. No major mistakes so far, and just sneaks inside gate 7 there for the spin. Early marker, she's going to be a bit down here.
Well,
Yeah.
we saw 5 seconds back. Let's concentrate on the paddling if we can.
And we saw Jess made up a ton of time on the bottom section, so Vicky will be looking to do something similar. Behind on the top, but a faster the bottom section, you can really jump up on the leaderboard.
She's not done a bad job around that middle section, but Jess absolutely flew through it, so I think she's going to be even further down there as well. Just a little bit of contact from gate 14. She's actually having a very good run, but Jess has just set the standard so high.
Relative, isn't it?
Relative, it doesn't look as good, but yeah, 5 seconds down, and you know, she's clean as well. So I mean, she's on pace to potentially challenge for the current top 3 if she can keep this last section together. And just struggling to get there a little bit. Again, we saw same problem that Nuria was having there. Had to take on the extra spin, and it is a lot slower than the direct from 19 to 20.
Oh no!
And another penalty on that last up right. It's a really difficult breakout, that really to keep the boat flat. We saw Joe Clark just in the semi-final take a touch there as well, and 106, so into 4th place.
And has some regrets out there.
Definitely, it's one of those courses. There's not a lot of room for error because it is so short. As soon as you lose a couple of seconds, you know, when it's less than 100 seconds long, it's quite costly.
There's Vicky Funk, who I think is going to shine next weekend. It's good to see all the athletes chatting about strategy, and I suppose you have one thing in common, is you're passionate about this sport.
Definitely, yeah. We've got really good culture in canoe slalom. Everyone gets on, and there doesn't seem to be a bad blood between anyone, really. Everyone's just stoked for each other when they do well, and I think it's the nature of the sport. Everyone just respects how difficult it actually is, and you know, it's hard to be a consistent performer unless, of course, your name's Jess Fox. You know, you can't expect to be on the podium every week, even if you are the best paddler in the world. So I think it just means that everyone's just really has got a really good perspective on it.
What's good for Jess this week is because she's one of the first to go, or the middle to go, she actually has chance to sit and chat with her mates, because she's normally the last off. Anyway, here we go. It's Claire Jacquet from France, who's been around a long time.
Yeah, and I thought last year she really stepped up a gear as well. She really got in amongst it with the top girls, and so far we haven't. I don't think we saw her in the final last weekend in Litovsky, so this is her first final of the World Cup Series so far this year. Changed her paddle this year. Last season she was racing with a paddle with the French flag on it. And an early penalty there, gate 4. Touch with the bow. You see a lot of movement on the pole. Doesn't matter how hard you hit it, it's still 2 seconds. Taking on the spin there, and it's a bit early. Just sneaking inside. She's going to be down on this split though, on time and with the penalty as well. Yeah, 5 seconds down. It's a bit of a chunk to make up, particularly with how fast Jess was on the bottom. Very good peel out in there though. In and out on 1. And again there as well. It's a pretty good breakout. Can she get some pace on the boat now into 14?
Putting together a solid run. Nothing spectacular going down.
Yeah, this is getting all right now. She's really done well to reduce that deficit.
No.
Although 50-second penalty showing on gate 7. The video judges had another look at that since she's been through it. It did look tight. Seems like she's been judged to have not got her whole head inside the gate. And again there, more difficulties at gate 19. And again on 21. That's the third girl in a row that we've seen hit that gate.
And we see that touch on gate 19 turning into a 50-second penalty. It looks like she hit the gate with her face, which certainly means you're not getting your whole head in.
So there is an asterisk, which means it's been looked at more closely by the judging team. 2 athletes to go. Jess Fox has a medal. New Villa second, and Attila in third.
We have 5 seconds between the first and third athlete right now, so there's lots of room for these last 2 girls to jump into the podium.
The wind has started to pick up a bit. If you look at some of the gates, they're starting to be moved around a bit.
Definitely, and it does make it more difficult. The margins in this sport, you've got to be within centimeters of some of these poles to be fast enough. So when they're moving, you've got a moving target to hit, and it's even harder. Yeah, so she hit it with her hand before she went through it, and didn't get any of her head in the gate. Clara on the start line, third Spanish paddler that we've seen. Her teammate is on the podium, waiting to find out if she has a medal. Does mean we're going to see a Spaniard on the podium, or maybe 2.
Exactly. So as we see from the stats, still very young.
Still very young, and small girl as well. Sits really low in the boat. It's good for balance, low center of gravity. And she's got into difficulty already, dropping low into gate 3. But she attacked hard, got herself back up. And you can definitely, the way this final has gone so far, you can get onto the podium with a few little mistakes. Definitely nothing too major.
Well, Jess showed, didn't she? But I suppose that's a different level.
Really, really struggling there, trying to go for the direct and having to reverse and touching it on the exit.
Not seen any of the girls manage the direct there between gate 7 and 8. It's going for the peel out option now. I think that's a smart option. We saw a lot of the men's kayak take that option as well. Seems to work really well. The spin is very high risk. It's important to get into the fast water early there. She's done that well, but it's bouncing around a little bit. It's subtle time that...
is that because she's so light?
If you're not it could be a little bit of that, and a little bit of just the line and tracking on the boat as well, how well the tail is following the nose. It's quite subtle to watch if you're not a regular canoe slalom paddler, but it's the kind of time that we see kind of leaking away when the boat's bouncing around like that. Looks like she's taking the spin option there. That looked planned actually, but it's definitely not the fastest way to do that move. Already outside the time set by Jessica Fox, 2 gates left to go. She's had a solid run. But 50-second penalty showing on gate 15. That's a late call, that one on late. It did look tight. Mustn't have got her whole head inside. She looks like a little bit confused.
So 3 athletes now picking up 50-second penalties. It does mean if it stays like that, Nieuwe Villa is going to have at least a bronze. Well, you can work it out for yourself. And Jess there, it's almost like a mental challenge. She's like, okay, see if I can win and putting on 6 penalties, or see if I can win and putting on 4 penalties. Kimberly Woods, the training partner of Alan Burgess, is just about to go down in some heavy rain.
Looks like the rain's just picked up. You can see the crowd on the bank, everyone's running around trying to find a bit of shelter. It's not going to put Kimberly off, she'll be used to it. British weather. More insider knowledge, I think she's going to go for the direct on gate 7. It was her plan at least this morning in the semi-final. Let's see if she's decided to stick with it.
This is not good. Like gates 15, 16 are really moving quite a lot.
You can see there, well, she's smiling.
Go on.
And pumping herself up. It's one of those things, sometimes we go through these situations before, like, you know, like what if I'm on the start line and all of a sudden the wind starts to blow and the rain comes down. You know, you kind of just remind yourself what's important, and direct there, 1-2. Oh, and just, it's not paid off. She's dropped low into gate 3, but I don't think she's lost too much time. She kept the boat moving okay. Lots of movement on gate 4 for her to deal with there. She's done very well to stay clean.
You can just see the rain really heavily coming down.
How's this direct move? She's had to turn it into a spin. But it's pretty solid. She is going to be down on the top split though. But if she can stay clean. So 4.67 seconds down.
And there's 5 seconds between first and Anna Sotilo in 3rd place at the moment. And 2-second penalty coming on.
She's picked up the touch there with the peel out. And it's not the fastest breakout we've seen there, but they're pulling hard to get away. She's got good speed away. Oh, and another 2-second penalty on the up left. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, she picked it up with her hand on the switch a little bit. Really, really tough conditions for Kim here with the wind blowing around. It makes it so much harder to be able to be close to the poles as you need to be.
But she's a Brit, don't worry.
She's doing a great job coming through this bottom section. Really.
8 seconds off at the moment.
8.5 off. I can't remember where Jess picked up her penalties, but I believe they were further down. So if she stays clean, she could sneak onto the podium, but she's going to have to be really good through here. That's not bad. It's going to be tight to the finish.
The time to look out for is 101.73. I don't think it's going to happen.
It's going to be outside of that, unfortunately for Kim.
Well,
oh, and she's missed the last gate. Sting in the tail there. Out of the upright. I wonder if the weather did get too low. I don't think it did. I think it's just really difficult out there, you know, the course. Even Jess Fox on the top with +4 seconds and massive spread throughout. We've seen 4 of the girls take 50s, only 1 clean run. It's just a really difficult course out there.
And it's completely in the last, well, since Kimberly has started to run, the conditions are just completely different, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah. I wonder if you can see she opted for the short sleeve kit as well. I think that's probably a decision she was regretting when that started, and might be something the men's kite reevaluate now. I'm sure they're warming up ready for their final, and or everyone cramming into the few umbrellas that there are on the riverbank. Grandstand is empty
Jessica,
now.
how do you feel about your race today?
Look, the final, the conditions changed so much there towards the end. I think I was lucky to go down when it wasn't raining, wasn't windy, and I had a great run. Touches though, which I was a bit frustrated with, and I didn't actually see my time at the end, so I was annoyed, but it was a fast run, and I'm very happy to win again. And I feel bad for the girls who raced at the end when those conditions were really, really difficult.
And what was the most challenging part for you?
For me, I think the middle section, like in K1, it was hard, and I made similar mistakes to my K1 race as well on the bogey move. But all in all, I had good flow and good speed, and I attacked it, and look, very, very pleased again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Always a top interview, really lots of insight. Guys, we're going to switch around here, so thank you so much for coming in.
Cool,
Alan Burgess,
thanks for having us.
Tyler Smith, thank you. And we're going to go from one Brit to another. Thank you. So that's live outdoor sport for you. Lovely sunny weather to pretty aggressive storm in a matter of 3 minutes. But you're all tough athletes, and now it's raining. I thought I'd switch from the soft English to the tough Scottish. And so David Florence and Fiona Penny, hello.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
That was tongue-in-cheek, by the way, but good to see you both. Before we go on to the K1, which we'll see in a minute, David, your impressions of the C1. Did you have a chance, or you're out doing a bit of practice?
Yeah, no, I watched that final. Yeah, I felt pretty sorry for our girl, Kim Woods. Unfortunately, the conditions just started really bad while she was waiting on the start line. Made it a bit tricky for her, but you know, saw Jessica Fox so strong again. She could have won with 4 touches, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, so dominant at the minute.
Talking about dominant, there were 6 of you within 0.93 of a second yesterday, but you came out on top.
Yeah, I think I was pretty lucky to come out on top in such a tight final. It was very exciting.
Well, here is the official classification. So Jess Fox takes the first gold, Nuri Vilarubla takes silver, Anna Satilla takes the bronze, and I'm not a historian, but to have 2 weekends and 4 golds is a good start.
Yeah, and for the sport to have 3 continents in the top 3 in one of the on one of the podiums is a pretty unusual thing for us, and quite good that shows the sport is growing around the world.
2 events gone, and these are the standings. So a little bit of a gap appearing, but there's still chances. There's 3 more World Cups to go, and there's double points at the last one. Good to see 2 Brits in there, and Australians, obviously, with the Fox clan, are looking very, very dominant so far.
Yeah, not surprisingly, Jess, a bit of a lead there, given that she's
2 out of 2.
won fairly convincingly at both the races so far. In fact, you know, with her kayak as well, she's actually won every gold medal she could have done so far this season, which you can't ask for a lot more than that, can you?
Now on to kayak men, and it's a very dynamic final. Look at these guys; they're all well-known, absolute flyers, aren't they? There's none of them are holding back, and we have the standings from the first week.
Yeah, I mean, only 1 race, so those are essentially just last weekend's results. But you know, another result to go in there today. Some of those guys in the final again, some of them not. Good for Britain, obviously, that we've got 2 guys in there. 2 Brits, 2 Czechs, 2 Germans, 2 Australians, and then you've got 1 Slovenian, the usual Peter Kauser, and Darius Popiela, who's been looking really, really good this year. Really good last weekend in Liptovsky. And
He was a bit frustrated after he was finished today. He went quite early in the semi-final and didn't know whether he was going to make it through.
Yeah, and well, you know, you just need to get that top 10, don't you? And then you've got a chance to reset.
So Fiona, welcome back to the international stage. No doubt about that whatsoever. You made a final yesterday.
Yes, yeah, very pleased to make that final. I was a similar position to Darius after the semi, waiting, wondering whether I was going to make it, and really pleased to get through.
And local knowledge, which let's see how it counts for timing-wise.
Last weekend we saw Darius, he hit, I think it's gate 2, a really, really early gate, absolutely clattered it, picking up a penalty, but then he just held on so strong. So he's obviously someone who's got that amazing ability to just refocus and paddle well. And here, home water, maybe feel that the home course is on his side.
There's very little margin for error in the kayak men's race, and we saw that this morning in the semi-final. Gate 6 are taking it very tight indeed.
Yeah, he took gate 6 very tight there, but it looked like it cost a bit in gate 7. He didn't quite manage to keep the run of the boat there. A lot of the kayaks were perhaps losing a tiny bit of time there, and I think he's no exception on this run. He's gone for the peel out, the slightly longer line where you're almost doing an upstream gate around the back pole of gate 10. Interesting, I thought most of the kayaks would go for the spin, but you know, local guy, and he's obviously seen first runs and still thinks that's a good option.
Yeah, in the end of the day, yesterday kayak women were taking the peel out option most of the time, and you know, we'd have thought with the guys having that little bit more strength, they might go for the spin option. But yeah, I was surprised to see there was a few peel outs going on this morning still.
He's absolutely flying.
Yeah, he's not done much wrong apart from that bit of time loss at 7. I don't know how much that's going to impact the overall time when you get to the end, but not a lot else has gone wrong. He's paddled some pretty solid lines, taken very tight to finish, but
this is going to give him something to think about.
80. So the times we saw on first run were a bit quicker than that. We saw some really, really good runs on first run from the 2 Czechs. So it did get down to 78.25. 80 on first runs to put around about the middle of the pack, but you just never know in finals. Sometimes you get an amazing final and everyone steps up, and sometimes you know, with less guys there, only 10 taking part instead of 40 guys to put down a good time, sometimes you actually don't need as good a time. So I think it's one of those he's just going to have to wait and see. Probably unlikely to get a medal, but certainly stranger things have happened.
And the weather. If this rain stops, will that make it easier? It certainly makes it easier for the spectators. But what about the actual the athletes?
I don't think so, to be honest. As long as it's not windy or not just coming in. You know, it was already raining. It's not absolutely pouring it down. I think he'd be out and ready. He'd be used to conditions while sat on the start line. The gates are pretty still. I don't think that'll affect his run, to be honest.
Fair point. So who's next down? It's just the Olympic champion, Joe Clark.
Yeah, Joe had a really good first run and actually hit the last upstream. Thankfully, it was still enough, and good to see him in there again.
Safe, yeah. They're not telling you what to do, but try and control your nerves.
Yeah, Joe seems pretty relaxed. I had a very brief word with him between not giving him any advice. Of course, he knows what he's doing, but you know, he was saying how he'd hit that last upstream, and you know, he was a little scared he wasn't going to get through the gate initially, but took the touch, and fortunately it was just enough to squeeze past the finish line.
Yeah,
get the final.
Seems to be on good form at the minute, so he was looking just really composed this morning, barring that 1 error on the last gate. So I think this
flying over the first three gates.
He just needs to take it steady. Joe actually, I feel, paddles his best when he goes a little steadier rather than trying to go too hard. So it looks like he's doing quite well for the first 5 gates. Nice and smooth.
Yeah, so let's see if he can keep the boat running nicely in 7, and he does that pretty well. Yeah, that is. He didn't get the bow too held up. Managed to get away from it fairly sharp. I think that's going to show on the split. Yeah, almost 1.5 seconds up on Popiela already. Going for the spin. Slightly quicker move, but possibly slightly harder than what Popiela took on. And I think it's going to pay off for him as well. He's not really put a foot wrong so far.
It's nice out in the flow. Sometimes on the exit of gate 11 you can get a little bit stuck in that eddy line, the slower water. You need to get out in the flow, get going, and so far this is proving to be quite
a really
a good run.
cracking run.
Yeah,
3 seconds out.
Could be heading for those sort of times that we saw in the first run from the 2 Czechs if he's that much up on Popiela at this stage.
Well, that'll give him something to think about. It's
He's
exactly
taking
what we
these
want.
last gates very tight indeed, like very tight line out of 17. We'll see whether he manages this last upstream a bit better. He has indeed.
Got that
Go
right.
for
This
the
is gonna be a
last one.
very fast time, I think.
Oh, he's
Wow.
just getting a bit stuck.
76.
Wow.
That's going to take some beating. It can be so nice to go off a little bit early in the final. Obviously, it's a bit nerve-wracking in the semi. Wait and see if you're in there. But once you're in, you know you can just put your run early. Don't have to worry about what the other guys have done. And now everyone else has got to better their run
By over 2
significantly.
seconds.
Yeah.
This is what, as a spectator, this is what we want. Lots of nations competing, lots of real fast flyers, and they really have to go for it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, other people they might be approaching it slightly differently. You know, some won't hear any of the commentary at the start. I know yesterday I couldn't hear anything that was going on where we were warming up at the top. Some will be maybe watching the first few boats, so they will know. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach it now.
This is great. The rain is picking up a little bit. The wind's gone down, but you can see from yourself. Lots of smiley faces there.
Yeah, people are still enjoying it. I think a lot of them are hidden behind those brollies, just behind the main stand, underneath the sponsor tents, etc. But the crowd are all still there, just hidden away out of the rain a little bit more.
Well, we have 8 athletes to go. Dan Watkins from Tasmania really come on. He's doing the C1 and K1m, which is actually rather rare.
Yeah, he's a really nice paddler to watch. Been sort of there or thereabouts for a while, and really impressive to see him in this kite final. Didn't have his best weekend in C1, so he'll be pleased that he's had that second go at it today, and even just to get to the finals, fantastic start, and if he can put down a a good run here, I think he'd be very, very pleased with himself.
Well, there's no question of whether you have to get there's no holdback option, isn't it? If you to go under 87, you really have to give it everything you have.
Yeah, you do, but of course you can also make the mistake of trying too hard. In reality, you know, these guys, they'll look at the course, they'll know what the sort of fastest way for them to do it is, and all they can really do is try and execute that run. 7. I think that's going to be the undoing of a lot of guys. It wasn't disastrous there for Dan, but he did lose a bit of time. You saw him stall out, unlike Joe, who just went straight through it, and as a result, yeah, almost 2 seconds down on Joe already.
Yeah, the water comes and goes a little bit there in gate 7. There's a bit of boily water, as we call it. It sort of bubbles up and can bounce you out the wrong way, and if you hit it the wrong time, it can be very difficult to manoeuvre yourself around and keep the boat moving.
Yeah, he also went for the peel out, as we call it, the slightly perhaps slower move, but he did it really, really well there. Don't know if it'll have managed to make up any time on the spin on Joe.
Shows how good Joe was. 4.5 seconds back.
Yeah, when Joe's paddling well as well, he's so strong, so smooth that he's very, very fast if he's not making mistakes.
I'm not as close as him to you are, but it looks like he's put on a couple of kilograms of muscle in the last year or so.
Yeah, he's got a fairly good 1 rep max in the bench press now. He's definitely one of the strongest in the world in the gym, if not the strongest.
So not bad.
No, it
Made
was
the
actually a
final.
pretty reasonable run from Dan. Unfortunately, just already the standard is so good. He was probably a little surprised to have that run and be almost 5 seconds back. I know I would have been if I'd been out there racing as him. But you know, you've got to put down the run that you can, and you know, Dan at the minute's ranked 39th in the world. He's not quite got himself up there as one of the top guys yet. So if you can get out there and put down a good solid run, you've got to come away fairly pleased.
Next to go, Fabian Schweikert, maybe the lesser known of the German contingent.
Yeah, Fabian, I saw his run this morning in the semi-final, and he was definitely cutting it fine on some of the pulls, so he was taking the risks, and it paid off to get him in the final.
Yeah, German's been very, very strong in kayak for such a long time, and he's sort of the next generation that's looking to be coming through after Schubert and Hannes.
And of course the fun of next weekend.
Yeah.
I believe you've got about an 8 or 9 hour drive.
I think we're actually getting up at 3:30 in the morning to
We're leaving
drive
the
to the
hotel
airport
at
and then
3:30.
fly. But
Okay, so you take your choice.
yeah, I'm not sure which is the better option, but yeah, it's a little bit of a trek. Most nations probably setting off tonight, or coaches going with boats and guys flying tomorrow morning. But yeah, everyone's headed off to Germany for stage 3 of what's been 3 weeks on the trot.
Go on, Fabian, let's see what you can do.
And he is on his way.
Yeah, very nice start there, looking very smooth, very composed, in and out of that first up. That's what you need. In some way, I think a lot of the biggest challenges are on this top sort of third half of the course, and if you come out of that on a good time, which again, that gate 7 really does seem to be the undoing of so many paddlers.
Yeah, he just didn't have quite enough height out of gate 6 there, and unfortunately he had to opt for the spin, which is probably going to be rare amongst the men. It was seen a little bit more yesterday in the C1 and in the women's, but yeah, I think you won't see that often.
Just going back quickly to gate 7, is it consistent? Or just because the colours come from different ways?
I think it's reasonably consistent. You know, it is white water; it's never completely consistent. But I don't think there's a real problem with the move. It's just quite difficult, and so you know we're seeing guys make mistakes. The course is not easy out there at all. I would say it's a fairly awkward, fairly tricky course.
Well, we saw 6.5 seconds back.
Yeah, not looking like we're going to be seeing a challenging run here from Fabian. Unfortunately, he'll just have to settle for having made the final, which you know at this level is always still a good achievement as well. And look forward to next weekend on home water in Augsburg.
So 7 seconds between the first 4. For us watching yesterday, it's absolutely extraordinary that 6 of you could be less than a second.
Yeah, you know, it was just one of those finals that went really, really well. I think 9 of the 10 finalists were clean. 8 of the 10 finalists actually bettered their semi-final run, and it's not something you see that often. And as a result, yeah, it was really tight, really close for the top positions.
And you looked happy when you won, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I was relieved and yeah, very, very pleased, especially coming off that semi-final.
When you
win the semi-final,
exactly.
it can feel like if you don't then get a result, like you're so unrewarded for having paddled well. And the Europeans, that's what I did. I won the semi-final and then didn't come away with a result. So when I was sat going off last again, I was really, really determined to back it up this time, and I think that was part of why I was so pleased to do
And I
it
hope
on
your
this
mum and dad
occasion.
are okay, because they had to run down. What I noticed was Dad gives mum about a 15-metre start.
Fair enough. I can't say I know their tactics. I'm normally
I was
fairly
studying
busy
it yesterday.
concentrating on it.
George
Yeah.
and Jill came down about 20 times, supporting all the Brits. Sebastian Schubert won last weekend, first win for, was it 3 years? And in Augsburg, he normally on his day is impossibly fast.
Yeah, Fabian last weekend did an absolutely incredible upstream in one of the difficult gates at the bottom. I think he knew he had to push for it, and that's what he did, and it came off, and it was a blistering run, so impressive to watch. Be good to see if he can take that form. He'll obviously be feeling pretty confident off the back of last weekend. And I think one of the key things we're looking for now in these kayaks is seeing them get gate 7 right. If you can get gate 7 right, I think they're onto a really good run.
Yes,
very
yes,
nice,
Really good.
very nice. Really swift in and out. It's going to be a bit closer to Joe than the others. Yeah, he's in touch.
Yeah, these boys will now be trying to just keep to their plan rather than trying to rush things. They know Joe's time. They might have the possibility of rushing things too much and making big mistakes, but just need to keep to what they were planning to do.
If you focus on Sebastian's face, he puts 100% of effort into it.
He definitely does, yeah.
There's no poker face there. It's just it's a bit like yourself, David. Just grind it out.
German paddlers certainly aren't known for lack of effort. That's for
3
sure.
seconds back there.
Yeah, he is, but amazingly, that would still got potential to go into second place when he crossed the line. Doesn't look like he's going to challenge Joe, but if he can hold this bottom bit together and get pretty sharp last upstream, which I think he's done, it's going to be really tight between him and Popiella for second place at the minute.
So 80.47. Goes in the third.
Just outside.
Yeah, that second split just shows you how much time Joe must have had in between the first and second split. It went down quite a lot there for Schubert. So
yeah, it looked like in that spin move, Schubert just dropped a little bit low in gate 10, and hence the cross 11 was a little bit slow, and there's a lot of time to be made up there, and Joe just got it absolutely right. And if you can do that, you've got potential to take a lot of time out of the guys who are not spot on line.
So next to go, Lucien Delfort came over to Europe about a week or so after most of the Australians, and was walking around last weekend, but didn't compete. And now it looks
do you know
like
why he wasn't competing last weekend?
I do, because and I'll tell you later.
Fair enough. Let's watch his run now then.
yeah, it should be just showing that he's controlled, just thinking about each pole at a time.
Joseph, what was your race today?
Yeah, really happy with that. The weather came over just before, so I was a bit worried the poles would be moving, but it held good conditions and a really good race.
What was the most difficult part for you?
It's hard to say. I think the spin in the main move, I think it's 10-11, that's really tough. But also the move 6, 7, 8 can catch a lot of people out with the changing of flow, so pretty tricky course all over really.
Okay, thank you.
Great stuff. So it's a question of capturing the leading athlete halfway through, and I think it adds a bit of value to know what they're thinking.
Yeah, definitely. I think Joe, you could see at the finish, he was very, very happy with that. I think he knows he's in with a really, really good chance of winning. Although you have got, certainly the last 3 off are the guys who know to put in something special, and then Lucien's been a top paddler for years, and Bradley seems to just be really coming through this season. He's been putting in some fantastic runs.
Bradley had a bit of pressure, didn't he? Because he was one of the first to go in the semi.
Yeah, he didn't have a great qualifying in as much as he didn't get through on first runs, but his second run was actually fantastically quick, so he probably took a lot of confidence from that. I think he did the second fastest time of the day in qualifying, even though he had to wait and do it on his second run.
Okay, so yeah, going back to Lucien, he decided to come over a week later because he had a positive development in his personal life. So had a bit more time in Australia, and then just decided to ease into it last week.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's tough for the guys coming from Australia with all the races in Europe this season. Much easier for the guys in Europe to come and go, not got that huge amount of jet lag and such a long flight.
So let's see how Lucy could go on today. He's had some staggering runs. Often in Seo, he puts in some really fast runs.
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, he's a Frenchman, obviously paddling for Australia, and he's pretty good on pole, pretty good on Seo, as a lot of the French guys are. Yeah, he's just moved over to Australia to paddle for them, and it took him a few years, but he just sort of stepped up year upon year, and pretty quickly suddenly he was in the top few guys in the world.
And he's developed his Australian drawl quite well as well.
Yeah, he has. He speaks a strange sort of English that sounds a bit French, a bit Australian.
Seems to work for him there. Let's see how he goes.
Yeah, he's generally a really smooth paddler. Very, very tight around the gates. Just nicking his head around them, as he's already done on those first few. And as Joe said, his gate 7-8 is tricky. Can he do it well? I don't know what the judges are going to say about that. That was pretty
Lucian
dodgy.
is he puts himself in a position where he's always asking the judges a question.
Yeah, it does seem to, and he's certainly not doesn't shy away from controversy and speaking up against how he feels a bit outraged perhaps at some of the decisions. So far he is clean though. I think he maybe lost a little bit of time, but he's holding it together, and the rest of the run's been pretty solid.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be any panic in his paddling at all, as you say. Very smooth. That's his trademark.
Yeah, but it's just as you can see, long way off Joe Clark's run.
Yes, but it could be in second place there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, almost exactly on pace per second. So he just needs to get a good part to the bottom, and then there's not that many guys to go. Very quick
maybe
last
the
up.
fastest
Hasn't cut
four
it
in the
too
world.
tight.
He was winding up for
He
that
has made a
upstream
good finish
from a
to
long
it.
way
Is it going to
out.
be enough? Yes, just snuck 300-400s ahead of Dariusz Popiela. Didn't look like he was ever going to challenge Joe, but enough for second place for now. He has got a star against his name, so they may be just checking something on the video, but he'll have to
we saw
have to wait and confirm that. He did look
So we're going to check at gate 7 and see where he
pretty close on
where
gate
he
7,
came,
but it was hard to tell from here.
Yeah, they're still reviewing it. So they have all athletes. If you're listening, you're welcome to go behind the scenes and check out exactly what they're doing in real time. So there's the visuals from the judges, then there's the super slow motion from a couple of angles, and they put lines in it. And the rule is the whole of the head, part of the body at the same time. Let's have a look at it.
So this is the gate, which there may have been, and it looks quite possibly all right from there actually. Very hard to tell, but of course the rule is the benefit of the doubt goes in the paddlers. If it's so close that you can't tell one way or the other, then it has to be given clean. At least that's the theory.
Good.
They'll probably have a couple more angles to see than us, so we'll have to see what they say though.
We'll wait. So the asterisk is still next to Lucien Delfort's name, and from my view, these are maybe 4 of the fastest paddlers on the planet at the moment.
They certainly seem to be. 3 of them undoubtedly, and Bradley, with some of the runs he's put in already this season, getting himself right up amongst it. It's certainly not the first time this season Bradley's put in a run like that.
And again, like we said with Jay, he's looking stronger.
Yeah, those guys like to hit the gym, that's for sure. They're always pretty keen on Instagramming what they're lifting on the bench press.
Each one
they are very strong, very good paddlers, and seems to be working for them.
Yeah, Joe and Bradley have been pushing each other on and training on the water, off the water, and then pulling up Chris bars as well. Chris has been challenging them in training as well, so it's really good to see the 3 of them really pushing this level.
At 19 years old, Chris was doing extraordinarily well. But
He's
anyway,
made a pretty good job of that early gate there. Maybe not look quite as dynamic as Joe, but he's not far off. Again, well in touch. So much comes down to this move. You need to get this move really, really quick.
Good news for Lucien. The
fairly well, maybe stalled it a little bit on the eddy, but it's pretty reasonable.
Lucien Delfour, the asterisks come off, so he's secured second position at the moment.
Bradley
That gives Bradley a little bit more to push for, though there's a big gap back from Joe to get up into those medal positions at the minute. He's looking strong, Bradley. He's looking sharp. 2.39 off, so he's going to have his work cut out to catch up with Joe, but he's still inside those other guys, still headed potentially for a second place.
Joe was really tight on these downs, so Bradley looked to be a little bit more in the middle of the gate, taking a sweep on and out, getting a little bit stuck on the exit.
It's going to be tight. He's got that 80 seconds to be inside.
Moves into third place. As we told you a minute ago, Lucien Delfour, the asterisk has come off. So standings at the moment, Joe Clark, an amazing 76.93. Lucien Delfour, 80.84. Bradley Ford's Cryons, 80.43. 3 athletes to go. Kauser, Priskovic, Prindus.
Yeah, Bradley just snuck in a mere 0.04 of a second ahead of Popiella there. Joe giving him a friendly tap on the head as he was aware he had to leave the current podium box where they were waiting, watching the television.
Just missed out.
Not entirely sure what Martin Zugut was indicating there.
Go for the target. He just missed out.
I think that must have been it.
And there is Ricky Funk, who amazingly missed out on a medal this weekend.
She did. She was very, very fast again. Just some touches. She's she's still a phenomenal athlete and looking on very good form. It is canoe slalom, and it is up and down for the vast majority of athletes.
And for yourself, deciding to miss out the first race of the season, is the standard upped this year?
I mean, at the Europeans already, it was quite obvious how fast the level was in the girls, and yeah, sure, like obviously Jess is definitely up there, the one to chase. So looking forward to Augsburg, and hopefully one of us might manage to beat her.
Hopefully for the sport, you can all do your best.
Yeah.
Peter Kauser, good feel for the water.
Yeah, didn't quite get it right last weekend, but the Europeans started the year very, very well with a win on top of the podium. And
he was telling me he doesn't feel good on this course.
Okay, well, he looked pretty all right this morning.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't feel so good in the water when the water goes against you a little bit. Here it comes and goes, washes you off course a little bit to where you really want to be, and sometimes you don't feel so good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was quite as good as Joe though. He a bit held by the eddy like so many others, and yeah, 1 second down already.
He spun a little bit high there in gate 10, and he was lucky to actually get in it, but that lost him a little fraction of time.
Sometimes the bottom section, these more open sections, are where you can see Kauser really, really pick up the time. He's just so efficient with his strokes. The boat's always moving much faster than it looks like it is, and I think he is going to be off Joe, but I don't know if he's still going to be in touch. Yeah, that's the closest we've seen to Joe yet. Only 1.73 down at that split, so he's certainly pushing for beating Lucien's time.
Joe Clark leading with 3.11 seconds over the field, with 3 athletes to go.
He's cutting those staggers very tightly, and in and out. That was beautiful out of 21.
Has looked like a fast finish from Kauser. I think it's probably going to be enough for second place. Pretty good run. I think
he seems to be really lucid about what he does in the Worlds in Pole, when he did like the most amazing time and then had a touch. He seems to accept it.
Yeah, I think that's just his personality. He's a really nice guy. He's pretty chilled out. Phenomenal athlete, phenomenal talent, and he had a pretty good run there. I think we saw most of that time was probably lost in the 2 moves that we would expect. Gate 7 just stalled the boat out a little bit in the eddy, and then gate 10 spun a bit early, had to wait a little, and maybe just lost a little bit of the running speed. Other than that, it was obviously a blistering run, because apart from those 2 mistakes, it must have been right up there with Joe.
So 2 athletes to go: Yuri Priskovic, Vit Prindus, and Joe Clark has a medal.
Yeah, Joe will be really pleased to be on the podium, and
if these guys beat him, they deserve it, don't they?
They really do, because I think, to be honest, we're going to have to see someone not put a foot wrong. As soon as you see a little error, I think beating that time from Joe is going to be a pretty major challenge.
It's quite a steep slope, and no one's fallen over yet, and it's very slippery. So I admire you athletes and how you keep your. I suppose you're quite good at balancing it.
Yeah, it's actually quite a good place here because the far bank you can run down fairly unobstructed the whole way if you're want to cheer on your teammates.
Where he has his game face on. Yuri Priskovic, 2015 world champion, Olympic medalist.
Yeah, and he's certainly one of the guys who can do something very, very special. He's probably the athlete who's done more incredible runs than anyone else in the last 3-4 years. If someone is going to challenge Joe's run, he's certainly one of the few who might do it.
Well, let's see.
You can expect to see some very tight lines and be very close to the poles.
Senior is his coach. His mom was responsible for him starting his
Yeah, nice strong start. And again, like these other guys, let's see if he can get quickly through 7 and away without being held.
He went nice and high out of 6 there, so that was a good line. He was a little more in the middle of the gate there in gate 7 than he was in the semi-final.
Not bad, not quite as quick as Joe, I don't think. But
a second down.
Yeah, there's just so much time to come and go in that. And he looks like he's gone a bit high into the stopper, maybe lost a fraction of time there as well. Certainly think it's unlikely he's got any closer to Joe on those 2 gates, but there's a few more gates before the next split, and let's see if we can make a good job of those.
Yeah, Yuri's the kind of person who will build in the run. You'll see him take things a little steadier at the start, and then he'll start to crank it up another gear towards the end.
He needs to there, doesn't he? Peter Kauser 1.31 back.
Yeah, so I think he's in pretty similar position to where Kauser was at that point in the course, and Kauser had a really strong finish, so it's going to be hard for Yuri to take a lot out of him, but
he certainly knows how to go close to the poles.
Giving it a good go.
This is going to be close to second. Third.
Just behind.
Just outside. Now got the top 3 all within a couple of seconds.
And Vit Prindis, who was the standout paddler of 2017 to go. Vit nursing a bit of a sore back, he was telling me yesterday, so he just needs to make sure that goes well.
Yeah, he looked very relaxed as always when I saw him earlier. And yeah, it can be tough to go off in that last position.
It's a good problem to have, though.
Yes, it is, and it's certainly something that Pete's done quite a lot because he's been so good on so many occasions. Yeah, there's every chance he'll deliver something pretty good here.
So I put you on the spot, Fiona, because you're a champion. What do you think?
I think Joe's time is very tough to beat. Vit might get himself in amongst the medals, but yeah, I think Joe's time was just absolutely awesome.
If you win, you can jump in the water.
It's a bit chilly for that today.
I don't think it's a mistake, but it's
the boys comparing notes there.
Everything was really good except this, but
yeah, I think Yuri's just holding his hands up. I had a good run, but just not quite as good as Joe's today.
The more microphones, as long as we warn you, you know there's microphones around, I think the better.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It seemed like he was a little bit disgruntled that the water maybe didn't go for him there, was what I was reading into what he was saying. But
well, he has number 1 on his back and front, which means he had a really good year last year.
Yeah, so strong last year, won so many races. And
father a top paddler, so keeping it in the family. Oh no!
Dear, that's not a gate you can really afford a mistake on. A touch.
No, it's all over.
2 touches. Well, I think Joe is probably already celebrating in the commentary box.
Look at that. Clark, Kauser, Priskovic as the first 3.
Yeah, I mean,
looking likely.
Vit would have to do something very, very special to get in the medals. It's not going to happen, I don't think, today for him.
No, it's good to just see. It's so important in canoe slalom. You never know what's going to happen. Even if today, it is obvious that he's not going to be making those medals. Just that ability to stay focused and put your run down might count for you another day. Having that mental strength. So he'll be trying to hold it together and finish off his run good and strong anyway, which looks like he's doing a pretty good job of.
Taking a tight line out of there, is going to really squeeze it in these gates.
Yeah, very, very composed, despite his obviously fairly catastrophic earlier mistakes. And it'd be interesting to see if he can put down a reasonable time.
It would have been a strong performance for sure.
Yeah,
Very strong. Wow.
yeah, very, very strong. That would have been good enough for second place, just behind Joe Clark. Wow, that was a very, very fast run. He'd be disappointed to have picked up those touches, but take a little bit of confidence from the fast run. And so podium is Joseph Clark, Great Britain. He'd be very, very pleased with that. I think that'd be his second win after the Olympic Games, apart from one time in Prague when there was a bit of a controversy and he was disqualified. But he'd be so happy to be on top of that podium again, and really, really pleased for him. He's been looking really, really good. Things in Britain are strong at the minute, and yeah, well-deserved win to put down that run today.
So last weekend we saw the Germans taking the C1 and the K1, and this weekend we've seen the Brits take the C1 and K1. Just need the women to fulfil their potential. So in a minute, while we talk, why is the Brit program so strong? You two, I suppose, you're inspiring a generation.
I think there's a number of factors. You know, I think we've just got a really nice ethos. I think we've got a good training venue. You know, Lee Valley's a great place, and it's a really good performance centre. It's enjoyable to be there. Well, let's see what Joe's got to say.
Joseph, how do you feel about your win and this race today?
I'm absolutely made up. Been training well, so it's always good to put it down in the race and just get my first World Cup win. So really happy.
And what was that for you today or this weekend?
Really good. Consistent through the rounds. Final just scraped in 9th with a touch. Hit the second last gate, so it was always a bit close to the edge, but put it down in the final. Really, really happy.
Will you compete in Augsburg?
Yep, on to Augsburg now. So we refresh, go again next Friday and Sunday. So fingers crossed, have another podium, but let's see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
So how do you celebrate when you're top athletes and you have an event starting in 2 days' time? Let's go with official results, as you just mentioned. Say Jay Clark takes the gold for Great Britain, Peter Kauser takes the silver for Slovenia, and Juri Pušković takes the bronze for the Czech Republic, with the others honourable Delfor.
Yeah, still good performances there from the next few boats. Obviously, those would have been good times in the semi-final. It's just that was a really fast final.
But let's look at the overall World Cup standings, and Jay Clark takes the lead really close at the top. Sebastian Schubert, Darius Popiela, Pušković for Kryans, Vinders, Halchin, Biazizu, Kauser, and Nevu. So it's all pretty much top athletes who've been around many, many years now.
Yeah, it's only 2 races so far, of course, so there's a long way to go. But yeah, that's good to be in it at the start.
Absolutely. So yeah, how do you celebrate?
I'm sure Joe will be having a glass of water this evening, but no, with that early departure we got tomorrow, I think behaviour will be good.
And what do you say was amazing is that's his first World Cup win?
Yeah, he's when he won his Olympic
won
gold.
one medal before at a World Cup?
He won a silver medal in Augsburg, and
then obviously won the Olympics Games, that
Absolutely,
minor race.
Okay.
yeah.
So he'll be really pleased to back up with another medal. It's been quite a long time coming for him, I guess.
But he had a year or so off, didn't he? Really, he's quite relaxed after the Olympics with so much media attention.
I mean, still training. I think he.
Yeah, he had a few months away from the boat, but he was back into training and ready for the season in 2017.
Briefly, you two, you're coming to the second half of your careers. Are you still feeling fit and motivated?
We've both got a few grey hairs now, but still definitely hungry for getting some medals. Yep.
Great. Yeah, I still love it. Just love the sport, love doing it, and love the training. Love trying to get better at it. It's tougher and tougher all the time. The standard's higher and higher, but you know, especially for me, being off the podium for a wee while, to get back on top, especially to win in this dominant fashion of winning semi and final. I'm certainly feeling pretty motivated at the minute.
And your new trainer, I saw Richard Hounslow. It made something special. He gave you the medal.
Yeah, no, it's been going really well with Richard. It was a real shame. Mark Delaney had been my coach for such a long time, but he's decided to sort of step back a bit, and Rich has stepped up there, and it's been working really well with him. Obviously, you know, things are good. Things are in
Is it
in
coaching or discussing?
I think at the top level, it's coaching rather than training someone or rather than instructing someone. You know, it's someone who's there, who's an extra set of eyes, who you're discussing things with, who can help you out, like with video, with times, with watching what other guys are doing, and someone to help bolster your confidence, keep you up there, and you know, Rich he's a really good person to have around on race days. He's a pretty confident person. That was one of his real strengths in the C2. Is that he was so calm under those big pressure situations, and I think he's brought a lot to his coaching.
Well, that's pretty good, solid advice. Thanks so much for listening, Fiona Penny, David Florence, and the other guests we've had this weekend. Great stuff. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for informing all of us around the world. And we'll catch you in next few days. Remember, social media, tell us what you think. You can see all the replays of all the videos on the Planet Canoe. And thank you very much. I'll see you soon.
See you in Augsburg. Thanks, Matt.